When I first started using pastels 2 years ago, I bought this cheap set just to see if it was something for me. A few days ago, I stumbled across it again, but I never actually used it because I received another set and completely forgot about it. Now, I really want to compare it to my most expensive set. I'll also do a quick demo with a simple sunset silhouette. Nothing fancy, just enough to test how well these sticks blend, handle gradients, and cover the paper's texture. Let's talk about the appearance and packaging. Starting with first impressions, the difference is clear right away. The $8 pastels come in a simple box with a lightweight plastic tray inside. Nothing fancy, just 24 shades ready to use. Unison pastels are a whole different vibe. They come in a sturdy box with each stick snug in foam, safe and sound. When you open it up, you will find vibrant colors and labeled shades. Does that extra bit of fancy packaging matter? Maybe, maybe not, but for a lot of us, it's just nice to have that little moment of joy when grabbing your supplies. A set of 18 Unison pastels costs around $100, which can be intimidating, especially for beginners. But with that price comes quality, performance, and long-term value. You can invest in these pastels, and they'll deliver each time you use them. The $8 set though, I haven't tried them yet, so I can't speak to the quality, but $8 for a set of 24 is pretty cheap compared to other big-name brands. Just a heads up though, the set has half-sized pastel sticks, so you're not getting a full stick with each one. That probably explains the lower price, but honestly, it still seems like a good deal. Now, let's look at color selection. With the $8 set, you'll typically get the basics: primary and secondary colors, neutrals, and darker shades. These colors look bright and vibrant, but will they be the same once applied to the paper? But Unison, they're all about carefully chosen shades. The colors are rich, nuanced, and there's no fluff. Every shade feels like it's there for a reason. Now, let's make some swatches. I'm swatching some colors from the two sets of soft pastels, one super affordable and one high-end. At first glance, they might seem pretty similar, but the real difference shows up when you start using them. The cheaper pastels need more layers and a lot more pressure to get decent coverage, which can slow you down. On the other hand, the expensive ones glide on with just a light touch, and 2 layers max get the job done. The difference is clear. Cheap pastels need more layers and pressure, making them slower to work with, while the expensive ones glide on smoothly with just a light touch. As for the cheap blue pastel, it left some weird streaks, likely just a bad color in the set, but it shows how inconsistent quality can be. Here's a key tip for longevity. Focus on pigment quality and light fastness. Unison pastels are known for their rich pigments and high light fastness ratings. That means if you display your work, the colors are less likely to fade over time. Great for pros and anyone selling their artwork. Budget pastels? Well, they don't always have that same quality assurance. Without light fast ratings, you're left guessing whether these colors will stay vibrant a year from now. But to my surprise, Artway claims that in this set, each color block is rich and bright, and high-quality pigments provide excellent light fastness, which is great news and a big plus. Texture is a big deal. Unison pastels have this super soft, buttery feel. When you use them, it's like they just melt onto the page. So smooth and easy. They layer up beautifully without needing much pressure, which makes them great for both soft blends and bold strokes. The cheap set actually performed pretty well overall, but there are a few things worth mentioning. They do tend to break a bit and leave little pieces behind, which can get messy. The texture also feels harder and chalkier, kind of scratchy, despite the box saying they're soft pastels. They just don't have that buttery consistency like the pricier set, which makes layering a little less smooth. I'll be honest, the gradient with the cheap set didn't go so well. Instead of blending smoothly, it just moved the pigment around, and I couldn't get that soft, seamless transition I was aiming for. Plus, it left some weird marks on the paper, almost like some dirt came out of nowhere and muddied everything. It felt like I was fighting the pastels the whole time to get them to behave. Blending and layering are such a big part of working with soft pastels, and this is where the differences really show. Unison pastels make it so easy, colors blend smoothly and layer effortlessly, almost like they're doing the work for you. They create nice, clean gradients without getting muddy, even when you're mixing multiple shades. This makes them great for building depth and experimenting with color transitions, whether you want soft blends or bold effects. For the demo, I decided to start with the cheap soft pastels to see how they'd handle the subject I picked. I chose something simple, a sunset scene designed to really test their blending and layering abilities, not to create a super realistic masterpiece. Right away, I ran into some of the same issues I noticed with the gradient and swatches. Those strange marks showed up again, and no matter how carefully I worked, the colors muddied in a lot of areas. I also struggled to get the colors to actually blend together. They seemed to just sit on top of the paper instead of mixing smoothly. Despite putting in a lot of effort, the final result honestly ended up looking more like a kid's drawing, which was frustrating. That said, I do want to give credit where it's due. The black pastel was a pleasant surprise. It's much darker and more intense than I expected, which is definitely a plus, but overall, the texture of these pastels is their biggest drawback. They're harder, chokier, and just don't have that soft, buttery feel you get with more expensive brands. What I think I missed out on with this set is the ability to create smooth transitions and build layers without so much effort. That rich consistency really makes a difference when it comes to blending and layering, and without it, the process felt a lot more like a battle than an enjoyable creative experience. This demo really highlighted how much quality impacts the ease and outcome of using soft pastels. Unison pastels, on the other hand, are a totally different story. Right away, I could tell they were a step up. The buttery texture made blending feel effortless, almost like the colors were melting into each other. There was no need for heavy pressure, just a light touch and a few layers, and the colors blended seamlessly without muddiness. What really impressed me was how easy it was to create smooth transitions and build up depth. Each color held its own while still working beautifully with the others, making it simple to achieve vibrant gradients. There were no strange marks, no inconsistencies, just smooth, even layers that made the whole process feel natural and enjoyable. However, I was surprised by the black pastel. It wasn't as intense as the cheaper one. While I expected it to be deep and rich, it came across as somewhat softer and less bold than I anticipated. It was a bit of a letdown compared to how well the other colors performed. Despite this, the overall experience with these pastels was still much more enjoyable. The layering was intuitive, and the materials allowed me to focus on the creative process rather than fighting with the tools. High-quality pastels like these really show how much the right materials can elevate your artwork and make the entire process smoother. So, here's the bottom line. If you're looking for the highest quality and you're ready to invest in serious pastels that give amazing results, Unison is worth every penny. But if you're new to pastels, practicing, or simply curious without committing a big budget, these $8 pastels offer a solid way to get started without pressure. Both have their place depending on your goals. And hey, if you're really unsure, try starting with a budget set, and when you're ready to take it to the next level, you can level up to Unison or another premium brand. Either way, The most important thing is to keep creating and experimenting with what you've got. If you found this comparison helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you'll be the first to know when I post new tutorials. Let me know in the comments what are your favorite soft pastels. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.